What's up mga kabrad? Welcome po muli dito po sa aking channel at kung bago ka pa lang dito, please do hit the subscribe button, i-like at i-share na rin ang ating video at i-hit na rin ang notification bell para lagi kang updated sa ating mga latest upload. So ito na nga mga kabrad, update po patungkol po dito sa Barangay and SK election. So kani-kanina lamang ay nagbotohan na po for third and final reading ang ating pong mga senador patungkol po dito sa panukalang batas kung saan nga po pinopostpone po ang Barangay and SK elections na supposedly ay naka-schedule ngayong December 5, 2022. So ito na nga po sa boto na 17 yes votes at dalawang no votes ay ito po ay naaprubahan na po sa third and final reading kung saan nga po ang tumutol lamang po doon sa postponement bill ay si Senator Koko Pimentel at si Senator Risa Hontiveros. So si Senator Koko Pimentel po ay nagpaliwanag sa plenary kung bakit po siya bumoto ng no doon po sa postponement bill. Dahil nga po ayon po sa kanya ay gusto nga po niya na maituloy po itong Barangay and SK elections dahil wala naman pong mabigat na rason para po ito'y itigil at manapa ay dapat ituloy dahil nga po ito po'y magsisilbing referendum o magsisilbing timbangan ng mga tao kung dapat po bang manatili ang mga nakaupo po ngayon sa barangay at SK o dapat na pong palitan dahil nga po sila naman daw po'y nabigyan po ng sapat na panahon para makapaglingkod sa barangay lalong-lalo na nung pandemic. So yung sinasabi daw po na dahilan na sila po yung mga barangay official ay nahadlangan nung nakaraang pandemic sa kanilang paglilingkod sa barangay ay hindi daw po totoo po yun ayon po kay Senator Koko Pimentel kundi bagkus ay sila pa nga po'y nabigyan ng prime time para makapaglingkod at mas makilala sa kanilang barangay. So yun po yung naging paliwanag ni Senator Koko Pimentel and alongside with that ay kanya din pong sinabi na marami pong grupo na tumututol po para i-postpone itong Barangay and SK election. So yun nga po, ang nanaig nga lang din po ay ang boto po na yes votes para i-postpone. So 17 na boto po ito and most of them are from majority block kung saan nga po karamihan po dito ay talaga pong mga kaalyado ng ating pong kasalukuyang Pangulo, Bongbong Marcos. At syempre yung bill po na postponement ng Barangay and SK elections ay ifinail po mismo ni Senator Imee Marcos. So ayun po mga kabrad yung ating pong update. Tayo po'y mag-aabang po patungkol po dito dahil after po nitong third and final reading ay magkakaroon po ng bicameral conference ng liderato po ng Kongreso or ng House of Representatives at ng Senado. So yun po mga kabrad yung ating pong update po dyan. At panoorin po natin itong naging botohan po sa Senado patungkol po dito sa postponement ng Barangay and SK election. So ayun po, panoorin po natin.
Yes, ma'am.
Let us proceed now to...
Yes, Mr. President. Mr. President, this juncture I move to consider on third reading Senate Bill number 1306. Copies of the bill were electronically distributed to the members on September 21, 2022 in compliance with the 3-day rule under the Constitution.
There being no objection, the motion is approved. May we ask the Secretary to read the title of the measure and proceed with the roll call vote.
An act postponing the December 2022 Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections, amending for the purpose RA 9164 as amended by RA 9340, 10632, 10656, 10923, 10952, and 11462 and for other purposes. Roll call vote. Senator Angara, Senator Binay, Senator Cayetano Alan, Senator Cayetano Pia, Senator De La Rosa, Senator Ejercito, Senator Escudero, Senator Estrada, Senator Gatchalian, Senator Go, Senator Hontiveros, Senator Lapid, Senator Legarda, Senator Marcos, Senator Padilla, Senator Pimentel,
I vote no and will explain later.
Senator Poe, Senator Revilla, Senator Tolentino, Senator Tulfo, Senator Villanueva, Senator Villar Cynthia, Senator Villar Mark, Senate President.
Yes. With 17 affirmative votes, 2 negative votes, 0 abstentions, Senate Bill number 1306 is approved on third reading.
May dalawa. Mr. President, the minority leader would like
Yes,
to take the
I'd like to
floor.
recognize the distinguished minority floor leader, Senator Koko Pimentel.
There were 2 negative votes, Mr. President.
2 negative votes.
Yes.
I said 17 affirmative and 2 negative.
Okay, so if I may be recognized to explain my negative vote, Mr. President.
Please proceed, Sir.
Thank you. I vote no to the postponement of the barangay and SK elections to December 2023. Republic Act number 1146-2 for 11462 has scheduled the elections on December 5, 2022. There is no compelling reason not to implement the mandate of the law which we passed in December of 2019. If we proceed with the elections, the incumbent barangay and SK officials would be able to serve a total of 4.5 years. Not bad, considering that under existing policy, the term of office of these officials is 3 years. Did the COVID pandemic deprive these officials with time to serve their constituents? COVID did not deprive them of time. In fact, it gave them prime time, as former President Duterte made our barangay officials the first responders in extending the assistance to be given to the population at large. This election would have been a very good opportunity to conduct a referendum on the performance of the incumbents, especially in relation to their handling of the pandemic response. We should never tire of elections, as regular, periodic, fair, free, honest, and accurate elections are necessary parts of an inclusive and functioning democracy. May gastos talaga ang eleksyon, magastos talaga ang demokrasya. But this should be a price we Filipinos should be willing to pay. Ironically, the argument on expenses goes this way. The COMELEC, the Commission on Elections, says that postponing the elections would cause us to spend more. Mas magastos pa ang pag-postpone ng eleksyon na ito. That there are unfinished business with the barangay and the SK is not a sufficiently good reason to postpone the election. Governance is a continuing experiment, and thus a continuing review of the barangay and the SK systems can be made concurrent with proceeding in the election of the barangay and SK officials. No less than the local government code itself calls for its own periodic review, and yet the elections of the officials mentioned therein are not, as it should not be, and could not have been affected by any business, finished or unfinished. Moreover, although we can choose to be young at heart forever, we cannot forever be young in age. Since life in the SK is necessarily limited by age, by postponing the SK elections and allowing the incumbents to serve for a total of 5.5 years, we are consequently depriving an entire generation of potentially capable Filipino youth the chance to lead their sector through the SK system in the name of unfinished business. This is contrary to the state policy enshrined in our 1987 Constitution regarding equal access to opportunities for public service. Although the barangay is the basic local government unit, it also serves as a forum for the people. We should be reminded that the barangay officials are supposed to be non-partisan. As Senator Frank Drilon once said, let us maintain the non-partisan nature of the barangays. Barangays must shun politics at all costs. Kaya nga bawal ang kona sa barangay elections. Barangay officials are community leaders. We are therefore electing community leaders. Let not their election be divisive. Let their election be crystallizing. Let us keep the barangay elections non-partisan and not heated elections. So let us hold the elections as already scheduled under existing law and may the best community leader win. I am therefore in agreement with the oppositors to the postponement of this year's barangay and SK elections, such as the COMELEC itself, as well as election associations and watchdogs, namely Lente, PPCRV, NAMFREL, Ideals, and SENPEG. To quote SENPEG, Credible elections in a working democratic system are the only regular and predictable mechanisms for making our public officials accountable for their actions. Unless extraordinary crises prevent elections, these practices must abide by the law to ensure that our public officials command the legitimacy and mandate needed to make them accountable to our voters. I therefore vote to continue with our already scheduled barangay and SK elections this December 2022 and call on all the citizens of the Republic of the Philippines to be involved in this important and sacred electoral activity, ensure that genuine public servants are elected, and thus begin the national transformation of our country to one which our children and grandchildren will be proud to call their home. So thank you very much, Mr. President, and to all our colleagues for their kind attention.
Thank you very much. May we recognize next Senator Risa Hontiveros, if she will also explain her vote.
Salamat kaayo, Mr. President. I will submit in writing my explanation of no vote, but concur in full with the spirit of the no vote as expressed by the minority leader. Salamat kaayo.
Thank you very much, my distinguished colleague, Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I move to consider on third reading Senate Bill number 1290. Copies of the bill were electronically distributed to the members on September 21st, 2022 in compliance with the 3-day rule under the Constitution.
If it's okay, after we do that, we can designate the BICAM.
Yes, later, Mr. President, as
All right.
requested.
As requested. There be no objection. Motion's approved.